food forest is much more than fruit trees. In these uncertain times with high inflation, possible food shortages, there are quite a few plants considered staple crops that you should be growing in your food forest. These plants are going to give you the carbohydrates, the protein, all the nutrients that you need to survive. Not only survive, but to thrive. I'll show you up close 8 plants that I consider to be staple crops that I'm currently growing, plus one bonus plant at the end. This is by no means a complete list of staple crops. This is just what I personally grow. Every plant in this list thrives in the Florida hot summer and is extremely easy to propagate by either cutting, seeds, or tubers. African potato mint is an absolutely wonderful plant. It's very hard to grow regular potatoes in Florida, but this mint relative makes a small tuber that's very similar to a regular potato. I'll be able to harvest hundreds of those small potatoes from this small patch. This plant is extremely easy to grow. You take a cutting, stick it in the ground. You can also harvest the tubers and literally just leave them in a bucket from the winter time until late spring and plant them in the ground, and they're going to grow. Sweet potato is an absolute must in a Florida food forest or in the South in general. Since we can't really grow regular potatoes, this is the best substitute. Makes a great ground cover, highly nutritious, a lot of carbs. Plus you can add these leaves to a salad. Very tasty leaves as well. Moringa may be the most nutritious plant on the planet. Very high in protein, dense in almost every vitamin and mineral, easy to grow. This particular moringa plant was actually having root rot problems in another spot in my food forest. I literally just pulled it out of the ground, put it in a pot for a couple weeks to let it recover, and then planted it here in the ground, and it's doing great. Katuk is a highly nutritious plant. It's high in protein. It's medicinal. It's very good for blood pressure. Both the leaves and the berries are edible. It has a somewhat nutty flavor. I personally think it's delicious. Yum. This is Chaya. It's extremely nutritious, contains a lot of protein, but you do have to boil these leaves before eating them. You can simply take a cutting of a woody stalk and stick it in the ground in the rainy season, and it grows and thrives. I consider bananas to be a staple crop because of the high output. You can eat the ripe bananas, you can cook the raw green bananas, and you can eat the flour. Bananas are very sugary. They'll be high in carbohydrates. The raw green bananas are also high in carbohydrates, but it's more of a starch than a sugar. Cassava or Yuca, not yucca, Yuca with one C, is a tree that makes a root crop. You harvest the root at the end of the season. You can use it like a potato, make French fries. You can also use it as a flour substitute. It's very starchy. Once again, it's very easy to propagate this plant. You simply make cuttings with 3 or 4 nodes and you stick it in the ground. Transplanted several cassava cuttings just 2 or 3 weeks ago. There were no leaves on the cuttings at the time, and every one of the cuttings appears to have rooted and is growing leaves. Pigeon pea is an absolute must in a Florida food forest. This plant is really stacking functions. It's a great chop and drop plant. It's a nitrogen fixer. You can eat the green peas raw or the cooked dried peas. Very, very high in protein. The dried beans are a little bit higher in protein than the raw ones. Cowpea is a very important crop in the South, Florida and the South in general. It's a nitrogen fixer. It's going to help your food forest. The peas are edible. They're highly nutritious and high in protein. There are both bushing varieties and climbing varieties. It's great to have a mixture. Longevity spinach is a great ground cover. It's highly nutritious, fairly high in protein. It's also medicinal. You eat the leaves, you can put them in a salad. In the rainy season, you take a cutting of longevity spinach and stick it in the ground, and it'll grow. I love this plant. Any kind of hibiscus is a great addition to a food forest in Florida, in my opinion. The leaves, flowers, and calyxes are edible and a little bit medicinal. Some varieties of hibiscus are annual, some are perennial. This happens to be a perennial variety. Cranberry hibiscus is also a great addition with its gorgeous purple leaves. This is Roselle hibiscus, which is an annual. Makes superior tea. The calyxes are humongous, very medicinal. I really hope you found this video interesting. My goal is just to share my knowledge and experiences to help you prepare for what's coming. If you want to know how to start a food forest, check out this video right here.